Why hello again everybody, and welcome back to the final session of my after commentary extravaganza. We're once again in the cemetery. And it's been a couple of days since I did my last after commentary bit, so I don't exactly remember what I was doing. But we're apparently fighting a couple of random vampires who decided they would like us dead. And here come two more. Oh great. We're rather badly outnumbered, I'm noticing. So, did I choose to fight, or am I going to run away? I don't recall. What I do recall is that right there we got bitten again. God damn it. Let's see. Which way did I go? That's the real question. Which way? Well, I don't appear to be going in the direction of that investigation, so I think I'd just written it off as being out of my capability. Out of my range of capabilities for the time being, and just decided not to do it.
I must find a discreet spot to attend.
And since we can't just up and reveal ourselves to Mummy Dear, like I explained earlier, we have to find a concealed location, a bit out of the ways, to be able to observe the funeral, which is what we're doing right now.
I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. We commend unto thy hands of mercy, most merciful Father, the soul of our sister departed, and we commit her body to the ground. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
And everybody, meet our protagonist's mother.
Why
Obviously not doing so good,
and stick her here in this cold,
due to basically losing two of her
place.
children.
These are
That's
the
not
legal
gonna go over too
requirements
well for
of
anyone,
epidemic.
honestly. Damn, this has got to be tough for us to watch. I can imagine there's probably nothing Johnny Boy wants to do more than just reveal himself and reassure her that it's going to be alright, but he can't even do that because that would mean he'd have to answer some awkward questions about how he's still alive and how he doesn't have the plague when people just assumed he was a plague victim. So yeah, that's gotta be rough. Like, we get stabbed and shot and bitten on an everyday basis now, but that's nothing. This is probably the toughest thing he's had to do, is just sit there and not speak to his own mother. Oh man.
Jonathan, there is nothing you can do but accept it.
What brings you here?
I thought you could use the company. I am so sorry for your loss, Jonathan.
Yeah. Well, it does not sound like a bad joke, to be perfectly honest. And I have no reason to say I'd feel like a hypocrite. I don't even know what that would be referencing. So what I end up going for here is the option, she was kindness incarnate. Because Jonathan honestly kind of puts his sister on a pedestal and saying she was basically perfect in every way that it's possible for someone to be perfect in. That might be true, it might not be true, but it's the way he views things. It's his sister, and as far as he's concerned, she couldn't be more perfect.
Vibrant, full of life.
You know, biased towards your family and all.
My Mary.
You're a good person, Jonathan. And a young Ekon. A newborn cast into the night without so much as a candle to guide your way.
She had been scouring the most dangerous parts of London in search of me. And it led to her death.
Jonathan, don't.
I still hear her last thoughts. They echo in my head. Her mind shattered, and it haunts me.
Jonathan, stop. Listen carefully. You must come to terms with this. You must learn to live with what happened.
Learn to live with the fact that we killed our sister. You're asking a bit much, my lady.
I've destroyed my family. My poor mother.
In fact, I'm being generous to say that. That kind of thing would strike me as not just asking a bit much, but fucking impossible.
We are weakest when we grieve, and the guilt blurs our senses.
And so this is why you're here. To warn me.
And what enemies would these be that I'm doing the work
You
of?
too have
Tell
endured
me.
this.
I don't want to lose you.
Beyond the random
I've lost
vampires
so
wandering
many
the
friends.
street,
Loved ones.
and the fact that the plague was maybe engineered to
Pray for
spread
Mary's
vampirism,
forgiveness.
I'm not seeing anything in the way of signs of actual enemies of us as individuals. But I suppose that you may be correct. I'll do as you suggest.
Of course. I've stared upon this world for centuries, and time has taught me to deal with guilt, if not erase it.
What should
Erase
I do?
your guilt. Well, I hope
St.
I
Mary's
never
Church
learn how
is
to
not
do
far
that,
from here.
because
Go there and
quite
make your
frankly,
peace.
it sounds like a
Find the
grisly
solace you
thing
need.
to be able
My
to
lady
do.
wants me to confess.
Erase your
No,
guilt.
Jonathan. It's you who wants to confess, I think.
And it's time for a vampire to visit the church, apparently. This is going to be a little bit unfortunate, because as anyone with any knowledge of European vampiric mythology knows, vampires and churches do not exactly mix. Then again, neither do vampires and running water, vampires and mirrors, or vampires and photographs. So yeah, this is going to be a little unfortunate. And now let's see if we can't get around these fellows and find our way to the church with minimal requirements to kill people or disembowel them with a rusty spoon. Neither of which is particularly desirable to yours truly at this moment in time. As much fun as it would be in gameplay terms, Jonathan is not really feeling up to the whole kill, murder, death thing at the moment. We just want some quiet.
Off to church he goes, a newborn
And it's
seeking
immediately
divine
disrupted
consent
by someone.
from the soft
Great.
and pointy crown.
Just show yourself so we can get this over with, will you?
You reek of guilt and pointless compassion. Shed your skin, forget your old weaker self.
What do you want from
Who
me?
invited a sumo wrestler to London? A vampire sumo wrestler at that.
Ascalon does
I'd like
not
to
approve
know.
of lone wolves who bring unwanted eyes to our passage.
Ascalon.
name is Ascalon.
Who the hell is
Ascalon's will
Ascalon?
is vampire law. Learn them, abide by
Or
them,
he is
or I shall
speaking
return as
in
your judge.
third person. I don't know which. Either way, that asshole's
Try my
gone.
patience with that
And
plan.
yes, they do indeed try our patience with their random bullshit. And we have a fight going on over there between what looks like some of the Pruin and a Skull. So they can duke it out just fine. I don't have a problem with that. Well, we get off to do other more important things. Or that was the plan before they decided to bloody chase me. Fortunately, they don't pursue very far. Probably because they know attacking us in broad daylight in the middle of the street would not go over too well.
Yes? What is it that you want?
I'm sorry to disturb you at such a late hour.
No worries, my son. I'm still quite awake, having just returned from a funeral.
Yes, I know. I've forgotten what.
Anyways, this is a fairly important cutscene, so I will shut up for it.
I don't know.
May I help you, child? You seem somewhat perturbed.
I haven't the strength to cross the threshold. I wish to pray, to cleanse my soul.
The church is shut by order of the bishop. But I'm still the vicar of St. Mary's, if that is any use to you, my son.
You seem to me a good soul, Vicar. But this is a personal matter.
There are no secrets from God, my son. If your heart needs comfort, consider me your chapel. For I can be as silent as stone.
I've words for one departed. They're not for living ears to hear.
Your eyes burn with rage, yet I see the pain that lies beyond. I am here to lighten the burden of all God's creatures. Whatever you tell me is between us and the Lord.
Very well, priest. As you seem quite adamant.
Open your heart, my son. Tell me what burdens you. With whom do you wish to speak?
She was my sister.
You seem so troubled by the loss of this girl. What happened to her?
She was murdered.
I see. And how are you feeling, my son?
I feel responsible. The pain is consuming me.
I have a final question for you, my son. This is of the utmost importance.
Ask your question, Vicar.
What words would you like to say to your poor sister?
I killed you. There's no excuse. My dear Mary, forgive me.
You have been heard, my son, and your burden will lighten if your words are sincere. Go in peace now, and live your life in the way she would have wanted.
Wow, that sure was intense. And to be perfectly honest, I feel like Jonathan's feeling that he's responsible for his sister's death, even though he did train her. I still feel like it's unwarranted, because you could quite obviously see from what was going on from his perspective that he had virtually no control over his own actions and was just basically acting on instinct. So you can't really blame him for that any more than you can blame a starving wild animal for killing someone. It's instinct combined with desperation does not make a particularly attractive mix. Unfortunately, and he got the raw end of the deal in that the first person he came across was his sister. But I really can't say he's at fault for that. If it wasn't her, it would have been someone else.
Safer places to be than here. Over there! There's one of them.
And now we gotta dash past a bunch of Pruin guard who insist on trying to murder us with bullets. How rude of them. And up here we're coming up to something that... Here it is.
precious.
I mixed this up in a past episode saying it had already happened because I got my timelines mixed up, but this is... we're meeting someone, basically. A very important someone is basically projecting themselves into our minds, essentially. Our maker, a very powerful elder vampire, who can project their being in front of us so we can see them inside our minds. And as Lady Ashbury explained at one point, I think that's already happened, this is something we shouldn't tell people about, because it makes the vampires of London very nervous. This is a very ancient and powerful being, as only the most powerful vampires can project themselves mentally into the minds of their children. So we don't want to make the London Vampire Society that nervous, so we should just not talk about this, is basically what she says. To paraphrase a little bit. And I can't say I'm all too thrilled about having met him. Not only is he still trying to manipulate us, but after turning us and then leaving us to figure shit out on our own, he's also kind of a bastard. Who does not give any straight answers and just expects us to figure everything out through cryptic bullshit, which I am not too fond of. I do not like cryptic bullshit. But time for us to head upstairs after looking at an advertisement for nurses. Yes. Dr. Swansea's office. Let's head on in and see what's up. Oh, great. It's one of those bastards. The prison guard are now meddling around in the fucking hospital. Wonderful. Just what we did not need.
I wonder why there's venom in your food.
Oh, shut up, you bastards. I have no interest in your bullshit, so please fuck off. Thank you, it'll be great.
Remember, I've a good nose for machinations. I can flare the scent at a mile. You can't hide from the guard.
Go fuck yourself.
Leave him, Jonathan. This is sacred ground. Neutral territory. And I just had the carpet cleaned.
Yes, you're lucky I respect the doctor's opinion and don't want to dirty his carpet with your filthy blood.
Bad news. Bad news
Or I
indeed.
would be introducing you to my fangs right now.
What happened?
On second thought, maybe I wouldn't. His blood might make me ill.
At least one dead and several missing. This has spiraled out of control. Even the most infirm are asking to be allowed to return home.
An attack on the hospital. Great, that's the last thing we needed, really.
We cannot have the people lose faith in this institution. This hospital is their only hope.
Of course, you're right. But we cannot afford a public scandal. It would ruin us. We must restore order, and quickly.
You mentioned a dead patient. Who is he?
She, Jonathan.
Harriet
She
Jones.
was Miss Harriet Jones.
That was the woman who was saying there was some sort of conspiracy going on around here, isn't it? If I remember rightly. She was going on about how there was something up with the nurses and there was a conspiracy and everything. We have a handful of people around, unfortunately. A bunch of which have diseases we can't cure yet.
Very well.
I'll have to do something about that at some point.
Please, I can't rely on anyone else. And this concerns you as it involves vampires. Someone has taken advantage of our more liberal tendencies here.
In what way?
Jonathan, I may turn my head when you or her ladyship indulge, but I will not allow this place to become a nest for street feeders.
Please then, tell me.
Sean Hammett,
Fortunately,
the man we thought we'd saved at the docks.
we don't feed here,
Seems he was
so
infected after all.
that's not
So
really
Hampton
relevant.
became more beast than man.
There was another statement that
And
will
now
come
part
up
of
in a little
Prewen
bit.
suspects the hospital of vampire activity. Do you realize what that could mean for us?
That surely the guard aren't just going to attack a hospital. Come on. You said yourself it was neutral territory. Would they violate that? I'm not so arrogant as to say I'll protect you all. We have enough trouble with the guard on the street some of the times. I can't protect them from an army as I am right now. I really can't.
Do you really believe they would come for us here? In such a public venue?
McCullum is a fanatic. The guard will stop at nothing. You don't know what they're capable of, Jonathan.
Very well.
Fanatics.
Since I brought Mr.
Wonderful.
Hampton here,
That's all
I
we
will put an
need.
end to
It
this.
really is. Some experience from progressing the story. It's nice, I can level up. And now we need to deal with these fellows. But now, what did I do? I don't remember. Let's see, just checking out the quests we have available. There's that Save the Woman one, which I kind of wrote off and decided I would do another time. And I needed to rest and level up and everything to be more capable of winning that fight.
if you
And
don't
so on,
mind, I
but
have
that
a
will
few
come back to
questions.
bite
I'd
me.
be delighted to help you if
No
I'm
pun
able.
intended, as you will see. Doctor, you know, I met the strangest creature when I was out and about. Jonathan is actually talking about the huge guy that I referred to as a sumo wrestler, but I assumed we were talking about the one that was effectively our
recently
maker
met the
when I
strangest
originally
creature in
did this
Whitechapel.
recording.
He was immense.
So, the one good
He
thing
mocked
about
me
after
and
commentary
accused
is
me of
I can
hypocrisy.
correct little
Perhaps it
missteps
was
like
a
that much
scowl.
more easily.
London's
I still don't
streets
like
are
doing it though
overflowing with
because
these
it
days.
feels less organic, quite honestly. And I often struggle to remember what I was
was a
doing at the
vampire,
time,
right.
so it's not something
But
you'll
what
be
kind, I'm not
seeing
sure.
unless
It was
something
large
goes wrong in
and
the
very
default
fast. If you
If you
recording.
find anything more about
If
this
that
creature,
wasn't clear
the
already.
Brotherhood would greatly appreciate any information you could spare.
Yes, he was quite
He was
menacing.
observing me with the
That is
obvious
true.
intent to do me harm. His very presence evoked a palpable
Bit of a
sense
scary
of
one at
menace.
that.
You need to be careful, Jonathan. You've no idea what this creature really is.
And honestly kind of a pain in the ass.
Who was that man in your office?
Geoffrey McCullum, actual leader of the Guard of Prewen. I suspect he's the man behind the rebirth of this old and dusty society.
They know I'm here now, don't they?
I understand your need for blood and will not get in your way. But if you could refrain from feeding within these walls, it would go a long way to defending your case.
Well, fortunately, I've never fed at the hospital, so I see no problem in maintaining that winning streak. I don't really like the idea of feeding
Their
on
ultimate goal
defenseless
is the
patients.
eradication of all
As a
vampires in the
doctor, it
country.
rubs Jonathan the
I see
wrong
you
way
as a threat
in
to
all sorts of
mankind,
different
Jonathan.
ways. So we're going to continue to not do that, which will help him out a great deal, I am certain. But what actually
exactly
happened? I'm not
happened
clear
here
on the
while I was
details.
absent?
Hampton turned, quite violently as it happened, lurking about, attacked Miss Jones. To say he created quite a commotion would be an understatement.
Are you sure it was Hampton that killed Miss Jones?
Oh, there was blood everywhere, but no body. And you know the state she was in. I fear for what he did with her. Hopefully he just hid the corpse.
How did the Guard of Priwen come to hear of this?
McCallum has spies everywhere. He will jump at any opportunity to disparage the Brotherhood and show his contempt.
Well, that's not good. And as we learned, 'tis quite difficult for a vampire to enter a church.
It has been a very unpleasant experience.
The Brotherhood's research on the matter of faith and vampirism has proved somewhat insubstantial, to say the least.
And indeed, this isn't something you can really explain with science, now is it? Can't exactly scientifically explain why, because we're now a vampire, we can't walk into a building just because it happens to have holy symbols in it. There isn't really a scientific explanation for that, I don't
proof
think.
that I'm cursed in the eyes of the divine?
The wrath of the Almighty? There's no way of knowing. It could be subconscious guilt, or irrational fear, or deep-seated beliefs.
And quite frankly, I don't think we'll ever really know. But that's all there really is to discuss with our friend Dr. Swansea.
For the well-being of his flock. There's no other place
So
he would
now
go but the dogs.
we are going to go back to our room, have a rest, and level ourselves up. And I never noticed this before, but there's a little balcony alcove out here into our room, so we could just come in from the street level and not bother with the stairs and stuff like a normal person. So I probably will bother with them, just because it lets us blend in better. What do we go with here? I don't actually recall. Health and stamina most likely are included in there, because I rather need those to be able to keep doing a reasonable amount of damage stuff to the enemy. And just hitting harder and living longer is a nice thing to have. But a lot of this stuff requires a good chunk of experience. And because I'm refraining from killing too many people, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of experience to spread around, which is good and bad. It's morally good because it lets us maintain our moral high ground, but it's bad in terms of fighting the people we go up against, because they're getting tougher and we're not getting tough nearly as fast. Quite unfortunate for us. All those ultimates also require 1,000 experience apiece. This is just the last aggressive skill. And upping the aggressive requires fucking 2,000. And we don't have quite enough for this defensive congelation skill. That's gonna be a problem. But we have just enough experience to up our stamina by 30%. That way we can manage to dodge a bit longer, or do a few more attacks before we have to get out of a fight for a little bit. So let's rest and get our skills properly leveled up. A few people are ill again. The merchant stock has been updated. So we'll have to go around and cure a few more people at the hospital who've gotten illnesses, because the district has gone down from stable. Docs are fine, even if we still have to cure them. Dude there. And oh dear, this is what I meant when I said it comes back to bite me in the ass. Hisao Shun was that woman we were supposed to save, who I decided not to because I thought I was too low level to handle the enemies. As a result, those vampires killed her, and she's now dead. That district is just barely stable now. we'll need to address the problem of the Pembroke Hospital's declining status before we do anything else, I think. That is the prudent course of action. But I think we are approaching a good stopping point, because this is the ending of the recording session we're coming up on in just a bit. So, I'll be cutting it off very shortly. So, I think I'm going to call it here. This has been DarkPhoenix Gaming. Thank you very much for watching my Let's Play of Vampyr. And if you've enjoyed this, then please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to see more like this. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time for the next episode of Vampyr. Till next time, I'll see you then, folks. I'll see you then. Ta-ta for now.